back again with our 11th episode of Light Skin. I'm solo dolo today. Kentrell is at work. The kids are on spring break. So it's me and the other Dan, the man, Dan Lew. You want to introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Dan Lew. My day job is I'm the Chief Public Defender in northeastern Minnesota. So that means I, along with my 60 colleagues, we represent men, women, and kids who are charged with crimes.
Yeah.
And our greatest work really is to have a presence in the community, not just to see you through the court system, but to see that your lives are better.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of our work is out in the community,
yep.
Whether you're in Grand Marais or whether you're in Fond du Lac,
mm-hmm.
and that's where our region and our community spans, or whether you're in Hibbing.
Yeah, definitely. I met Dan a year and a half ago now.
Yeah, been that long.
Did some work together, still doing a bunch of work together in the juvenile justice range. But let's start from the beginning, day one.
Yeah.
Tell me about little baby Dan. Where you from? Tell me about life growing up, things like that.
No, I'm a Chinese kid who grew up in Queens, New York.
Mm-hmm.
I
didn't know you was from the East Coast.
Yeah.
Oh, me too.
I grew up in Astoria.
Okay.
And my parents immigrated here from the late 60s.
Mm-hmm.
And my grandfather had this incredible vision that he'd send a couple of daughters, and he'd get a doctor and a lawyer. And what he got were two incredibly accomplished women, a pharmacist, and a career banker.
Okay.
So that's and I grew up in the heart of the city.
Yeah.
In a pretty typical Chinese family.
Okay. I've been through Queens a bunch. I used to go to bodegas out there all the time.
Yeah.
And get some
different.
It's very different.
It's the place to go if you like to eat.
Very much.
And if you like to eat,
I don't know if you know my body type, but we eat. So we eat a lot of food.
No, this is the place to eat.
Yeah. So what was it? What was it like growing up in Queens? Was it a lot of Chinese people in Queens as well, or in the section that you lived in, or was it kind of just a totally mix of?
No,
your neighborhood.
Growing up in Queens is one of the 5 boroughs of New York City, mm-hmm. and New York City there wasn't one of anything.
Mm-hmm.
There was a world of everything.
Yeah, definitely.
I still remember, some of my early trips to the Midwest. Mm-hmm. I was like, if you speak English, everyone speaks English here. Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
We grew up, and you spoke Greek.
Yep.
There was Spanish. There was Urdu.
Mm-hmm.
And so it was a community that, maybe the block I grew up in started white,
mm-hmm.
went to yuppies,
mm-hmm.
Folks who can't afford to live in Manhattan,
yep.
and came over.
Mm-hmm.
And then an incredible Pakistani community came in.
Okay.
And then now continues to just be different every iteration. And now, like so much of the city, it's being bought up, and you need millions to live in this little tiny house that my parents bought in 72.
Yeah.
I think for 70,000 now.
Yeah,
you could never afford to live.
Never happened.
Just couldn't do it.
So, growing up, what kind of work did your parents do? What were their careers? What were their fields?
Yeah, so my stepdad was a tool and die engineer. Okay. Old school metal stamping,
mm-hmm.
Which doesn't exist anymore.
Yep. Machine stuff.
Yeah, and you could produce a metal part in any other place on the planet other than in North America.
Okay.
But he did that during the day. He did it at home, and mom had the incredible story. She worked at the bank. She started in the phone room, and she ended up being part of a private banking group, which are like different people than most of us here. I mean, folks who have the ability to have assets that are in the millions, and but that she was unusual because you don't have people who work at a place for 25 years, especially in the banking field. Yeah. That's what she did.
Yeah.
She worked up all along the way from phone room to right through to counting paper to right through to dealing with some of the higher end customers in Asia.
Good for her. That's awesome.
Yeah.
So how many siblings did you have growing up?
I'm the only child.
Really?
But,
okay.
It's a blended family, so I have a stepbrother and a stepsister,
Mm-hmm.
and then my birth dad remarried, and incredible gifts. I have three sisters who are now in their 30s and 40s.
Okay.
Incredibly accomplished.
Yeah, good.
From school teacher right through to working in policy.
Okay, very cool.
And they all still live in the city. They have not left the city.
So what got you from? What age did you move from Queens out to here to the Midwest? Did you just come straight from Queens to Minnesota, or was it some stuff in between?
No, I stayed. I went to public high school.
Yep.
I stayed and did public college in a city university system.
Okay.
And I knew I had to do something, and I thought law school would be a way to kill time. And I started applying, and what got me to the Twin Cities was it was the highest bidder among a couple of law schools. Okay. An option was Newark, and that's a really tough place.
Yeah, Newark is
a really tough place.
Hate Newark. Yeah.
Dayton was an option, but when I came out to the Twin Cities, I was like, man, I could make this home. I mean, this has all the frills of a big city without some of the rough edges of living in a city of 8.5 million.
Yeah, packed out there.
Yeah.
All right. So did you go to the U of M?
Nope. I went to what it was then called Hamlin Law School. Now it's a marriage of Hamlin and William Mitchell Law School. Okay. And it was in St. Paul, and it was in probably one of the more diverse neighborhoods of St. Paul. Solid Hmong community. The couple of Korean restaurants around the corner from the school. So that was my first introduction to the upper Midwest.
Yeah. Oh, definitely. So, all right, from there. Well, and while you was in school, did you always know what route you were going to take in law school, or did you ever consider being a judge or something else?
No, I know. I knew I wanted to go to law school. I was just killing time and figuring, letting my brain grow as much as law school can grow your brain. And
killing time in law school
doesn't always do that.
I would have failed out.
Yeah, no. It's a really expensive way to kill time. I tell a lot of young folks who want to go to law school, please, let's think this through. It's a really expensive way to kill time. But for me, it worked out. But no, I had no sense of what I wanted to do. I was getting through law school. I got a job in the Minneapolis City Attorney's Office. Okay. And I started in the civil division. And that's where I started getting the feel for it. And it's crazy because one of the first things I did in Minneapolis City Attorney's Office is I got assigned to we know what that office does now. It does a lot of police shooting cases. Police killing, hurting citizens. I got on one of those cases and involved a police officer named Mike Sorrow, name that's sadly well known. Worked on that case, and ultimately I stayed as I continued through law school. It was a part-time job, and I started as a prosecutor. Okay. Yeah. Yep.
So from there, how'd you get to Duluth? What brought you? What brought you up here?
Yeah, a legend in public defense, Fred Friedman, hired me in the mid '90s. I didn't know a single soul here. In the North End, I didn't know a single soul, single guy. I came out here not knowing a person in an office that was maybe 6 people, and that's how I started. And those folks I still remember each and every one of their faces. They ensured that this was a home for me, and they helped me build a career and a life here. Some, I guess, 30-ish years later. Yeah,
going through just that career path. How competitive is it? How hard is it to kind of get to where you are now?
Oh, I think of the whole nature of law school and getting into the business. It is competitive, and certainly it was very hard to get jobs in the 90s, 2000, 2010. Now it's, jobs are pretty plentiful in the legal field, but it took some time, and I got lucky to really find a place, a home, a mentor, and a group of people, and really a community.
Yeah, definitely.
You know, really a community that ensured that this was home for me.
Mm-hmm. Cool. So, as you got to do work from the cities and up to here, what was some of the big differences other than that community piece, like when it comes to like career wise and what you do day to day? How does it differ?
You know, I think an office as big as a Minneapolis City Attorney's office with this just dozens and dozens and dozens of folks to a small place mm-hmm. where you got to know folks, mm-hmm. they got to know you, and you got to look at and meet community members day in and day out, mm-hmm. and realize what you can do, mm-hmm. And what you can't do, yep. what's possible, and what might be possible. Mm-hmm. So size really helped.
Yep. How has it changed from when you first started here to now? Like what are some things some positive changes, even some things that you think still need some work?
Yeah. You know, I think you're probably thinking of the work field, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah. You know, I mean, we started as a small group. Mm-hmm. There's 5-6 of us in the office, and now we're just under 60.
Okay.
So we've had incredible growth.
That's a lot, yeah.
Yeah, we've had incredible growth. We've mm-hmm. also gone from a system that was just lawyers. You know, I tell folks our office, we're not just lawyers. Mm-hmm. You know, yeah, some lawyers, you know, we all think we're so good, but we are better with mm-hmm. a team. Yeah. So we have social workers, we have investigators, mm-hmm. we have paralegals, mm-hmm. we have legal assistants. So the biggest change is we do this together, we do it bigger, and the biggest change probably in the 30 years is we move from, you know, what felt like some days just processing people, mm-hmm. you know, and fighting for today's fight mm-hmm. versus meeting folks in the community yep. and figuring out what our customers, clients, neighbors need. Mm-hmm. To our business, we're different. Yeah. You may want customers for life. You mm-hmm. may want customers for life. Yeah. We don't want customers for life. Mm-hmm. What we want is to be able to meet you, serve you well, fight when we have to fight, mm-hmm. but more importantly, ensure that what do you need to live a better life in our community? Mm-hmm. And, you know, it took a while to help tease it down as to the 3 or 4 things we need to focus on for a lot of folks to help them live better. Mm-hmm.
Yep. So I know y'all have a lot of different community connections. Like I said, when we met, you know, you were very interested in just the work that we did with a lot of the young people and even some of the parents. We started talking about like warrant resolution stuff, and then that went into the conversation with diversion. And I know, especially the dynamic we work with, the group of people we work with, a lot of us have the notion of we don't want to be a part of the legal system at all, nothing to do with it, you know, purely because of sometimes ignorance, sometimes personal experiences and things like that. And I know one of the things that drew me to you and, you know, just working with people in your office is how community-based y'all were. You know, how it wasn't just about, oh, this is a case, but it was more of like, this is a person, you know. And that was
You're our neighbor.
Cool. Yeah.
You're part of our community.
Yeah, for sure.
You know, these are, you know, mm-hmm. these beautiful folks are not numbers on page. Yep. They're not cases. Yep. These are families and mm-hmm. lives that, if improved, mm-hmm. the cascading effect. I mean, you see it every day.
Yeah. Yep.
A child that you touch and send in the right direction. Mm-hmm. That's the future person that's going to take care of you.
Yeah, definitely. And it's almost like we talked about this last week with Dan Fanning of like seeing it from top down and bottom up. Our goal is to get these kids and families in a place where they never have to be involved with your office. Yeah. You know, and from you to people that's already involved in your office, how do you get them working with a community organization or an entity that can keep them from coming back, you know? And for your office, what are some of those like key things that y'all see when it comes to connecting people already in the legal system with community?
Yeah, I mean, I think we've identified the three things that drive so much of our work.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and they're obvious, but it's easy to forget them.
Mm-hmm.
It's folks who struggle with substances.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It's folks who are struggling with behavioral health.
Yep.
And it's folks who are struggling with trauma
Mm-hmm.
and have incredible unmet needs.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of that is moms and dads, brothers and sisters.
Yeah. Generational stuff.
Yeah. And how we do that is we do it in a number of ways. One is we're fighting for you.
Mm-hmm.
We're securing your liberty. You know, we're getting you out. We know that very few folks, but there are no options
Mm-hmm.
other than a jail cell,
Mm-hmm.
a wall. But it's very few.
Yeah.
The rest, however it shakes out, those folks are going to return to our community.
Mm-hmm.
Places they're going to share with your spouse and my spouse and our kids. So that's where it begins. We begin by securing your liberty.
Mm-hmm.
And then we begin by figuring out where the fight is on the legal side.
Mm-hmm.
And then we fight like hell.
Mm-hmm.
And we've got a team to do it. You know, we've just got a top-rate team.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I met a couple of them. They cool people.
Yeah,
Cool people.
real
Steve,
experience.
Tessa. I got some people in there.
Steve and Matt.
Yep.
You know,
Mm-hmm.
are and we have the expertise to do it.
Mm-hmm.
We got a world-class forensic DNA unit.
Mm-hmm.
We can tear apart a case.
Mm-hmm.
We have incredible technology.
Mm-hmm.
You know, to make sure that the tech is right.
Mm-hmm.
And then we just have incredibly smart, brilliant minds.
Yep.
So we've got the fight when the fight is what's needed.
Mm-hmm.
But then we also ask, what's the next step?
Mm-hmm.
So I fight. So I win, I lose, but then what?
Yeah, yep. Yeah, because it don't stop there.
Yeah.
You just handle one aspect
Yeah.
of it. How
But
do you
then
get
what?
involved in?
But then what?
So you mentioned even
Uh,
the trauma that people deal with or substances. Now, do your office, do y'all have chemical dependency people in your office, or are they just certain agencies and things that you work with when it comes to stuff?
so what we do is we start asking, what's the next step in your life?
Mm-hmm.
And that's where the connection piece happens. And that's where we have 3 world-class social workers
Mm-hmm.
who, I think we have great, smart, big educational institutions.
Mm-hmm.
And so we, on any given month or semester, probably have 12, 10 social work students,
Mm-hmm.
undergraduate level, graduate level.
Like interning, just interning.
Yes.
Okay.
We have them. We have so many of them. We have cubes. We're running out of space for.
Mm-hmm.
And these are the folks who work with our social work team that help create those connections.
Mm-hmm.
Do you need a chemical health assessment? Do you need a $5 bus card
Mm-hmm.
to get to all those appointments that the court just told you got to get to?
Mm-hmm.
Do you need to get back on your medication?
Mm-hmm.
Do you need to be first online? Because too many of our customers, they're last.
Mm-hmm.
They call offices and they get we got an appointment for you. No, you need someone to help make you first.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
We also need to get you stabilized,
Mm-hmm.
And then we provide the resources also to the community. I think you all know we've lost, 80 souls last year to
Mm-hmm.
opioid death?
Yeah, yep.
Fentanyl opioid death?
Yep. A number of those were youth
Yeah.
that we served and everything.
And I've brought you, but what we have at every one of our events, at every one of our front doors, we have fentanyl test kits and we have Narcan.
Yep.
That life-saving drug.
Yep.
We've probably given out just south of 5,000 kits.
Jesus, yeah, that's a lot.
And we're into the thousands of fentanyl testing kits.
Mm-hmm.
I've dropped them off to you.
Yeah, yeah. We've used some of them.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah, and we also work on removing the shame
Mm-hmm.
because we have them at our front door. I'm sorry, there's no breath mints. There's no bowl of candy. We got Narcan.
In the bowl.
Got fentanyl testing. And
Take a couple.
And we're here to give you and take one for a friend.
Mm-hmm.
And then we go out in the community. I think you talked about it. We figure out what those next steps are that you need. And often it's part of the fight. We tell your story.
Mm-hmm.
Folks, our brothers and sisters have a story that's not been told.
Mm-hmm.
And we tell that story to the community, to the court, to get favorable outcomes.
Yep.
And I think we go out in the community and say, we're part of the solution to end mass incarceration.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I think you know the number. It's United States here.
Mm-hmm.
United States, we're 2% of the world's population.
Mm.
2. I mean,
that's small as hell.
2. You know, my grandfather grew up in China. You know, when I was young, I was talking to him about, you know, boy, the United States is so big. We got all these people, and he sat back and, you know, he just looked at me and he looked up and he says, not even a speck.
Mm-hmm.
But we have 2% of the world's population. We incarcerate damn near 30% of all those who sit behind a wall. That's us.
God damn.
That's us.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
That's insane. All right, so knowing that, here's a question. So you've been doing this for as long as you have. When you see different things that aren't working, whether it's laws and stuff that's put into place, do y'all have people that go out and lobby you know, for changes in legislation, changes in laws that could be more beneficial for people? Yeah. Or,
you know, we do 2 things. Mm-hmm. First and foremost, what I do in the community is I find solutions. Mm-hmm. You know, I didn't like mass incarceration, so what we did is for the last just under a decade, we've had warrant resolution programs in every part of the state.
Yep.
We have thousands of warrants.
Yeah, we've helped with some of that. Yeah,
and you have.
Mm-hmm.
They've been in your space.
Yeah. I remember you. He said, "Oh, you know this person?" Yeah. He said, "Look, let them know we just want to talk. We ain't gonna lock them up. You can come if you want to. That way they feel comfortable."
Yeah.
You know,
we do it in the community.
Mm-hmm.
We've been everywhere from Fond du Lac to Washington Center to Lincoln Park, Meet in the Street, to Iron Range Sobriety Fest. Mm-hmm. And
I had never heard of that.
We've got one this Saturday, 2 Saturdays from now, we're going to be in Grand Marais, that first ever community warrant resolution program. Okay. 111 miles in a community that said, hey, we want to be part of the solution too. I think you asked about the legislative side.
Yeah.
And we speak out. We speak out about issues at the legislature. We have a legislative team.
Okay.
And we talk about the impact of all the new laws, because it appears that we have reduced human beings to their dollar's worth.
Yep.
And what we try to say is, you want to pass this law, this is the fiscal impact it's going to have in prisons, in courthouses, in our offices, in each of your communities. You can do it. You can, and too many of them have passed. Many of haven't, but it has a cost. It has a cost beyond dollars and cents in the lives of men, women, moms, and dads. And that's kind of the voice we offer with our legislative team. It's not just money. It's real. It's real beautiful people who are our neighbors.
Yeah, and those are things you don't hear about, which is why I enjoy doing this cast, because we get to hear some of that background stuff. I mean, you mentioned that y'all give out bus passes for people to make it to appointments. I'm like, I ain't never even heard it. I didn't even know that was a thing. Yeah. You know, because you'll hear some people that say, "Oh, I couldn't get there." It's like, well, man, did you even ask about, you know, if there's a way for you to get there instead of you missing court and now you got a warrant out or something like that? And even when it comes to chemical dependency stuff, I know there's some youth that we've worked with. You know, some, and this is one of the sad realities is there's not a lot of places where youth that struggle with chemical dependency and substance abuse, things like that, that have a place they can just walk into. You know,
very hard.
Yeah, and even a place like parents aren't involved, so in order to get these kids even enrolled, their parents have to sign off. And you know, recently I worked with a youth. I'm not going to say their name, but you know, real tough home life, but was on fentanyl real bad. I mean, bad.
They can call me about it.
Yeah, and what we had to do, because we knew the parents weren't involved, he was real high one day, knew he had drugs on him. We ended up calling the police officers. It was -4 outside, nowhere to go. Yeah. They got him in the AJC, and then that's where we knew, all right, he's about to get help now. Yeah. You know, in a month he gained 25 pounds, you know, back cognitive. But it was like, man, I wish it didn't have to come to that, but if there's programs are there to help these youth, and then hopefully get the parents more involved in saying, look, this is what's going on with your child. I know you struggling with things. We're going to help your kid. What do you need as well? So that's a big deal.
It is
in combat what we doing right now. So,
and this is a medical emergency. Just think that you had a child with a medical emergency, and what you had to use was the wrong tool. Jail.
Yep.
Just think of that.
Yep. It's wild. It's wild.
And I'm sure if Mike Sonoya was sitting here, he would have that same reflection.
Yep.
And it's the wrong tool to use, and it causes harm.
Yeah.
It causes harm.
Yep. What types, when it comes to issues like we just mentioned, how are y'all looking into combating some of these things where, instead of jail being an option for people to get where they can get help, especially young people, what type of conversations are being had to just kind of combat those things?
I think what each of us do as we start that journey with the client is we figure out, how do we get you your freedom? What are the other options other than incarceration? So we do that every day. Is it an opioid withdrawal bed? Is it the use of medication? Do you need, we know that you're struggling with a racing mind. Can we substitute methamphetamine with some medicine? Can we treat it as a medical emergency in a crisis? If you need housing and you're at crisis, can we find you a treatment bed? And if you're elderly, can we get you the services you need so you don't hurt somebody?
Yeah, or yourself,
Or yourself.
Yeah.
And for our children, I think we can be proud. There's very few folks sitting at the juvenile center.
Yeah,
There's been really innovative folks like you who return folks to the community and begin providing those services.
But we go up there a lot. We go every Tuesday and do just work with the youth up there and try to connect them. Even like y'all doing. When they in there, it's like, all right, when you get out, here are services that's available. How is home for you? Is there any support we can have when you get out? What do you need? Things like that. That's been real beneficial. We have, the youth that we work with probably the toughest youth in the city, period. And the safest space they have is with us. When they're going through the toughest things, where their first phone call, things like that. And it's cool to see. And like I say this a lot, but I wish jobs like mine didn't have to exist. But if they do, I'm glad I get to do it. You know.
And there's really few that are better at it, frankly, and connected with young men and women.
Yeah.
I've been at this for some time, and the work you do is quite remarkable. And connecting with the youngest of our young in those very difficult years. Yeah.
Yep. No, man, that's awesome. A couple more questions. So, how have you seen the dynamic of crime and substance use and stuff change over the years? How have you seen it get better, and then what areas have you seen it get worse to where you'll have to put a little bit more effort into?
Yeah, the whole crime numbers on any given day, having done this for so long, we know there'll always be a substance in 3-4 decades that will hurt a human being. Crack cocaine, methamphetamine, bath salts. And now as we go into the fourth iteration, it's fentanyl, opioids, and carfentanil. It's been our response in 40 years has been taking what is really a public health crisis and treating it as a moral failing. And how do we treat moral failings? We punish it. We shame it. We punish it. We incarcerate it. And we think it'll go away. And we're starting to take those steps to say that these are public health crises.
Mm-hmm.
The 4 substances they're just masks for other trauma.
Mm-hmm. True. Yep.
And we try to think we can, and and we'll see over time if we're going to go back to that age, if we can mass incarcerate this public health crisis away. And that's been the trend line. And I think we've had some good progress, but we have always had that danger to say this is not a medical response or a therapeutic or a therapist response. Who we really need are police officers, judges, attorneys, jails, and prisons. And time will tell if we can reach that point. I think we're making some progress. Yet folks get scared, and folks want to associate a public health crisis with a moral failing. We want to focus on all the wrong thing, taking the folks who sell these products from the community, recognizing it hasn't worked. And sadly, we got to look at each other and say too many of our neighbors consume too much of this product. That's why we have this problem. Not because there's too many folks who look too much like you and I, who they claim sell this product, which is false. I think we know it's false. Versus all the folks who consume this product. There is incredible consumption. And it was Mike Tuscan who, on the most difficult days we talked, he goes, what is it about our community that we're so sick in our nation that we consume vast amounts of this product? Over 40 years, 50, 100 years.
And knowing that it hurt. I mean, I talk, my brother, a police officer, we talk about this often. It's like, knowing that it hurts you. So, and we grew up and you see people, they crackheads or fiends or whatever word you want to use. And so many people who used to say, that'll never be me, it's them now. And, then you ask the question of what got you there, and like you said, the answer isn't jail or sitting in front of a judge or things like that. Maybe sometime it's necessary, but at the same time is what help do you really need? And are there enough public health workers, to even provide that need? I don't see the problem ever going away, but I also think that we band-aid things way too much. I mean, and that's for almost any issue we have. So what does it take to really, get whatever that trauma is and start to work on that, that inside stuff rather than the outside things that's hurting you. And I think that's going to take time. I think, like you said, I think we're making good strides. Even when I started off in the community here 5 years ago, I've only been up here for 7.5, but from 5 years ago when I first got here to now, I've never seen this much drug use in youth alone, and that's changed how we approach kids, and what we approach them with, the conversations we have. Because before you could just say, oh, don't do that. Now it's, why are you doing that? And those are questions before we didn't ask, of the why. It's just, oh, that's bad, but that's because that's how we was taught. That's wrong. You can't, you ain't supposed to be.
It's a moral failing.
Yeah, and the thing is, we know it's wrong. I know I don't need anybody to if I walked up and punched somebody in the face, I know I can get in trouble for that. That's irrelevant.
But tell me why.
Why?
Tell me why.
Because then when you really start thinking about it, you're like, damn, okay. There is a way, to combat this without shaming you for it, without saying you're a bad person for doing this, but allowing them to see that you can handle these issues a different way, that you're not the only person going through it, because a lot of people think nobody understands. Like, you hear it all the time. You don't get it. It's like, trust me, I was there. You know what I mean? I might have never been down this drug road, but the other path I was rolling, I was way, way worse, And, it took for somebody to ask me, why are you doing this? Not every person who's ever pointed a finger at me, fuck them. You know what I mean? Whatever. You don't. Then I'll say you don't get it. But if you really want to know me and see where my heart at, see where my head at, what my struggles are, now I'm invested, because it's like, all right, you asking questions that nobody else.
If you went in and they said, hey, you have diabetes, Would they shame you?
Yeah, shoot, I hope not.
They shame you, no. They would talk about what?
Mm-hmm.
Here's some medication.
Mm-hmm.
Let's figure out why.
Yep.
They'd say some of it's genetic, but
Mm-hmm.
some of it's some of the choices you're making.
Eating habits. Yep.
Here are some other options for choices. Exercise, diet.
Mm-hmm.
But we wouldn't lock you up.
Yeah.
We wouldn't make it so you can never work, live, play in the community.
Mm-hmm.
Your kids will have no opportunities. Or if you're not a U.S. citizen, deport you.
Mm-hmm.
We would treat it as what? A public health, a health emergency.
Yep.
But I think as
That's
we
a good
look at
analogy. I
chemicals,
never heard that analogy.
they would never do it. I mean, you'd be considered the cruelest human being. You said, "Oh, you got diabetes."
Go to jail.
Yeah, I'm
10
sorry.
to 20.
You know, you clearly have made
15
some
to life.
choices. You clearly made some choices in your life, and you know, there are consequences for your behavior. You know?
Yeah.
There are consequences for your behavior, and your DNA. You know that you have diabetes. No, and so we are taking that steps to see it as, you know, we need more public health thinkers and fewer correctional thinkers if we want a solution.
Definitely. No, that's awesome, man. I appreciate this conversation. Just giving a lot of just insight to, you know, how y'all approach different issues and people and things like that, and it also help us with how we continue to approach youth and families, and also making them aware that, hey, you made a mistake. Yes, you're going now. You got to stand in front of, you know, public defender or whatever. Here are resources that they even have that can help. You know, here is what they're there for. You know, to not be afraid to go down that path, because, you know, at every level we want to help, you know, but you have to be willing to let us help too, you know. So I appreciate the conversation.
You.
Yeah, man.
I appreciate
Thanks
you.
for spending some time with us. If y'all are in Grand Marais, what you say, next Saturday or this Saturday?
Two Saturdays from now, I'll get you the flyer and you can put it up.
If y'all got a warrant, get out there. They gonna resolve it.
Or if you have a warrant
it ain't
now,
crazy.
Or if you have a warrant now, call us. We'll get you the information.
1-800 Dan Lew. That ain't the number, but search it, you'll find them.
218-733-1027.
And I know some of y'all got warrants, trust me.
And call us, reach out to us. We'll help you figure it out. We can fix this. It doesn't have to lead to some really bad day or night.
The OJ case. Well, thank y'all. We appreciate it, Dan.
Thanks for having me.
Seeing you, buddy.
Yeah, good seeing you.
And we'll see y'all next time.